If you're exhausted by hype jobs that burn bright and burn you out, here's the truth no one puts on a billboard. The safest money in a remote economy is often hiding in plain sight. It lives in roles that don't trend on social feeds, don't demand a personal brand, and don't care whether you go viral. They're boring in the best way. Process-driven, regulation-adjacent, metrics measured, and always hiring because the work never stops. In 2026, while glamorous titles rise and fall with algorithms, these roles keep posting headcount. Today, we're going to make them legible. I'll show you 7 unsexy but well-paid remote paths, what you actually do all day, why companies keep hiring for them, the minimum skill stack, how to get hired without experience, and the first 90-day plan once you land the seat. No fluff, no bullet points, just a map you can run while tired. Before we name the jobs, set a frame for why boring beats buzzy. Companies don't pay for vibes, they pay for risk reduced, revenue recognized, and systems that keep operating without drama. When the economy shakes, executives cut experiments first and protect functions that keep cash moving, regulators happy, and customers supported. That means compliance, documentation, billing, underwriting, data quality, tax, and the humble machinery of revenue operations. These roles may not make your friends gasp, but they do something better. They pay on time, they allow remote rhythms, and they compound. Compounding here doesn't come from a meme stock. It comes from experience that people trust and a portfolio of receipts you can carry across employers and even industries. Glamour is optional. Options are not. The first path is compliance and AML KYC analyst work, the quiet firewall that lets banks, fintechs, payment processors, and crypto companies sleep at night. If money moves, laws follow, and so do audits. A typical day starts with a task queue, new customer onboarding files, transaction monitoring alerts, and periodic refreshes of existing accounts. You review identity documents and business registrations, reconcile names across sources, and escalate anomalies. You examine flagged transactions for patterns, structuring, sanctions matches, geography risk, and you document exactly why you cleared or escalated each alert. Boring lives here as rigor, checklists, case notes, and the discipline to reverse engineer a pattern without turning hunches into accusations. Companies keep hiring because regulators keep writing rules, and fines are painful. The minimum stack is not a law degree, it's comfort with checklists, writing clear notes, working in case management tools, reading policies, and asking precise questions. You can break in without previous compliance titles by completing a short, credible certificate, building a practice portfolio from synthetic cases, and demonstrating fluency with the language, risk rating, beneficial ownership, sanctions, PEP screening, SAR narratives. In your first 90 days, your goal isn't heroics, it's clean throughput and zero rework. You learn the procedures verbatim, you build a personal glossary, and you shadow senior investigators. By day 90, your cases are clear, your escalation notes pre-answer reviewer questions, and your error rate is boring in the best way, near zero. The second path is business systems administration, especially Salesforce admin and revenue operations. If a company sells to other businesses, there is almost always a CRM at the center of the revenue machine, and someone has to keep it from turning into a graveyard of duplicate records and broken dashboards. A day in this chair is less coding and more choreography. You clean data, design fields and validation rules, maintain page layouts, shepherd users through new processes, and build the reports leadership uses to steer the week. You meet with sales and success managers, translate messy human workflows into clean digital ones, and say no kindly when the request would wreck the database. You're also the adult who cares about integrations, calendar tools, quoting, e-signature, support platforms, so the go-to-market team can see the same truth in one system. Companies keep hiring because revenue tools multiply faster than headcount, and when data gets dirty, growth stalls.
The minimum stack is admin-level comfort with your chosen CRM, basic automation, flows over code, a clear head for process, and enough SQL or reporting logic to produce accurate dashboards. Breaking in without experience looks like this: volunteer admin work for a local nonprofit, a sandbox where you build a tiny end-to-end sales process, and a portfolio of before-after screenshots that show what you changed and why. Your first 90 days are about trust. You document the org, map user pain points, fix 5 obvious paper cuts, and publish a weekly What Changed note so people see the system is cared for. When users believe their input becomes improvements, adoption follows, and so do better commissions and calmer quarter ends. The third path is technical writing and documentation. It sounds like English class. It's more like product design for attention. Every fast-moving software team needs someone who can turn engineering intent into user-ready guides, API references, onboarding flows, and upgrade notes. Your day is interviews with engineers and PMs, hands-on testing in staging, writing, editing, screenshotting, and pushing docs through review pipelines. The real work is empathy. You write for the person who arrives scared and in a hurry. You reduce cognitive load with structure, consistent voice, and examples that compile. Companies hire because self-service documentation reduces support load, increases adoption, and shortens sales cycles. The minimum stack is clear prose, an editor's eye, basic Git comfort, markdown fluency, and the confidence to say, "I don't understand," in a room of smart people. You can break in by writing your own docs for open-source tools, building a portfolio site with interactive guides, and contributing to existing documentation repos. The first 90 days are about credibility, shipping a style guide, rewriting 3 high-impact pages that cut support tickets, building relationships with engineering so you're invited to sprint demos, and setting a cadence where docs launch with features instead of 2 sprints later. The glamorous parts are rare. The victories are quiet and measurable. Fewer "how do I" tickets, higher feature adoption, and a sales deck that links to something your prospects can understand in 5 minutes. The fourth path is data quality and governance analyst, the person who makes dashboards trustworthy. In the age of AI, the boring part of data work is suddenly the most valuable. Models and leaders make bad decisions on messy inputs. Your day is queries, audits, lineage mapping, and alerts. You compare numbers across systems, reconcile definitions, and write plain language data contracts: what this field means, who owns it, how it's populated, and what happens when it's wrong. You meet with stakeholders to align on a single definition of active user, burn down a backlog of quality issues, and set up monitoring so the same bug doesn't bite twice. Companies hire because a single bad metric can steer millions in the wrong direction, and regulators care more than ever about privacy and access controls. The minimum stack is SQL, a BI tool you can actually ship in, comfort reading schemas, and humility. You don't win by being clever, you win by being exact. Breaking in without a data title looks like this. Take the public data of a small shop, your own website, a nonprofit, a hobby project. Instrument it, define basic KPIs, catch and correct a data issue, and write the post-mortem as a portfolio piece. In your first 90 days, you don't rebuild the data warehouse. You make the current dashboards reliable, document definitions, and prevent 3 recurring errors. Calm dashboards are money. You're the calm maker. The fifth path is medical coding. It is as glamorous as a spreadsheet and twice as dependable. Healthcare billing in many countries is a maze of rules that must be translated from medical charts into codes that insurers accept. The coder is the translator. Your day is reading charts, picking the precise codes that represent procedures and diagnoses, checking for compliance, and submitting clean claims so payments arrive without back and forth. Remote is common because the work is digital and continuous, and demand is timeless. People get care every day. The minimum stack is certification where required, strong attention to detail, an eye for patterns, and the humility to ask clinicians for clarifications. Breaking in requires formal training, but you can position yourself by learning the workflow of a small clinic, practicing on de-identified notes, and showing you know how to turn ambiguity into reimbursement. Your first 90 days are about accuracy and speed. You set up your reference library, you learn the employer's top code families cold, and you work cleanly enough that denials are rare and corrections are short. The work might feel repetitive. The payback is predictability and the ability to work from anywhere with a strong internet connection.
The sixth path is tax professional, enrolled agents, remote CPAs, and the growing class of software-savvy preparers who live in the overlap of numbers, law, and empathy. Tax is seasonal, yes, but the best firms and solo pros turn seasonality into a rhythm. Off-season planning, entity cleanup, bookkeeping reviews, and prep for the next cycle. Your day during the peak is document intake, software runs, manual reviews for edge cases, and client conversations that translate law into decisions. Off-peak, you're building checklists, templates, and client education that makes next April humane. Companies hire and clients return because taxes don't stop, and penalties are painful. The minimum stack is software fluency, organized thinking, and kindness with boundaries. Breaking in can mean working a season at a reputable preparer, earning the credential in your pantry, and specializing early. Freelancers, expats, small landlords, so your marketing is a hallway, not a stadium. The first 90 days are calendar work. Learn the firm's tech stack, adopt their checklists, deliver returns early and clean, and capture edge cases as reusable guides. The path isn't loud, but the lifetime value of a well-served client feels like an annuity you control. The seventh path is commercial insurance underwriting and risk analysis. It's the part of the economy that prices uncertainty for a living. Underwriters assess businesses, construction, tech, logistics, medical, and decide if the carrier should insure them and at what terms. A day in this seat is reading applications, studying loss histories, checking compliance, asking brokers pointed questions, and building the narrative that justifies a decision. Remote has expanded because much of the evaluation is document-driven and collaborative across time zones. Companies hire because risk never sleeps, and skilled underwriters keep portfolios healthy. The minimum stack is curiosity, numeracy, and the ability to synthesize patterns without drama. Breaking in might start with an analyst seat at a carrier, or MGA, and a willingness to master one niche. Contractors' general liability, cyber for small tech firms, property with catastrophe exposure, and to speak broker language. Your first 90 days are about consistency, decision files that tell a clean story, responsive communication with brokers, and a habit of escalating early on weird risks. Boring wins here because boring is safe, and safe is profitable in Riskland. If these paths sound steady but not sexy, good, that's the point. Boring is the algorithm for quiet wealth, reliable work, remote flexibility, and incremental raises as your receipts pile up. The way you convert always hiring energy into an actual offer is by becoming legible. Legibility means a portfolio, not a promise. Even for non-creative roles, you can show work. For compliance, publish synthetic case narratives with redacted screenshots that demonstrate your reasoning and writing discipline. For business systems, build a tiny CRM sandbox and show the lead flow, validation rules, layouts, and the report suite. For documentation, write tutorials and API references for real tools, open source or your own little projects. For data quality, produce a short case study where you defined a metric, audited it, found an error, fixed it, and proved the change. For medical coding, showcase clean practice cases and your accuracy process. For tax, assemble a sample organizer, a calendar, and a notes template that proves you think like a pro. For underwriting, write mock decision files with a summary, exposures, mitigation, and a pricing rationale. Hiring managers don't want to imagine your competence. They want to see it move across the page.
Your resume for these roles isn't a museum of duties, it's a ledger of outcomes. You strip out jargon, lead with verbs, and end with numbers. Reduced onboarding time, increased adoption, decreased denials, improved loss ratios, raised first contact resolution, shortened sales cycles. You match your language to the role's daily verbs. You avoid the temptation to brag about passion and instead demonstrate practice. When the recruiter calls, you don't monologue about your dreams, you walk them through one case. What was the problem? What steps did you take? What tools did you use? What changed, and how do we know? Boring is not silence, it's signal. The interview itself is where calmness pays. You ask about the task queue, the metrics, the tools, the definition of done, the calendar of the busy season, the handoff between teams, the top 3 paper cuts, and the last root cause analysis the team ran. You propose a small paid pilot where appropriate. You don't volunteer to fix culture, you volunteer to hit a metric. If the role is real, this conversation will feel like relief to the hiring manager. They don't need a hero, they need a teammate who will keep promises when the quarter gets loud. Once you're in, the first 90 days are most of the job. The plan is copy and paste across these paths. You write a personal glossary of every acronym and field name so you can read quickly. You build a list of recurring problems users mention, and you fix the top 5 that cost the most time. You document your own process and share it with humility. You are careful enough that seniors feel safe reviewing your work and trusting you with more. You publish a weekly "What I Shipped" note to your manager so they never have to guess. You ask for one small project you can own end to end and deliver it early. Day 90, you don't chase a title. You ask for clarity on the metrics for promotion and you start laying the bricks. Boring compounding beats loud promises. Education and certifications matter in some of these lanes and nearly not at all in others. Read the room before you spend. Compliance certificates help at entry because they teach the language and reassure auditors. CRM vendor admin certs help because they unlock settings and trust. Technical writing has no gate. Your portfolio is the credential. Data governance values proof over paper, though a gentle analytics course can speed your SQL and your thinking about lineage and contracts. Medical coding requires formal training and certification. Treat it like a license and respect it. Tax requires country-specific credentials for representation. Take the path that fits your jurisdiction. Underwriting often trains in-house. Your curiosity and math will open doors faster than a random certificate. The rule is simple. Only pursue a credential that changes how people pay you or what they trust you to touch. If it won't change price or access this year, postpone it and build receipts. There's a lifestyle piece to this that matters more than a tool list. Remote, boring, well-paid work can still eat your life if you let it. Protect your energy so you can sustain the compounding. Move your phone charger out of the bedroom so your mornings belong to water, light, and a 2-minute check that your transfers ran. Run your finances on rails so stress doesn't bleed into your work. Income routes to a staging account, week 1 drafts bills, day after pay drips refills sinking funds, and Friday refills your weekly card. Batch errands into one loop so weekdays aren't perforated by micro-emergencies. Keep a trunk kit, water, snack, charger, towel, bandage, and a spare 20 so detours stop renting your wallet. Put dental and medical on a calendar so you don't mistake skipping for saving. The fewer fires outside work, the steadier your work becomes. Companies don't just pay for skill, they pay for reliability. Reliability is energy plus systems. If a part of you worries that boring means you'll be stuck, hear this. Boredom is a feature for a season, not your fate. These roles are launchpads, not cages. A year of clean cases in compliance opens doors into risk, fraud, product, or even sales for RegTech tools. A calm CRM org plus cross-functional wins can graduate you into revenue operations leadership. Documentation mastery puts you next to product decisions and developer relations. Data quality makes you the person people trust when the company wants to build real analytics or AI on top of clean inputs. Medical coding can expand into revenue cycle management, auditing, and leadership that actually fixes patient billing experiences. Tax grows into planning, advisory, and niche specializations. Underwriting expands with line expertise and broker relationships into roles that shape risk appetite, not just follow it. The quiet work buys you a reputation that travels. Reputation pays more than a job title in the long run. Let's make this starting line painfully practical, so this episode becomes a plan, not a mood. Tonight, you kick one lane, not three, one. You write a 2-sentence pitch a teenager could read, the outcome you create, and who it's for. I turn messy sales processes into clean dashboards and faster deals for B2B teams using CRM. Or I write developer-ready docs that reduce support tickets for SaaS products. Or I make dashboards trustworthy by defining metrics and fixing data issues. Or I code charts cleanly so clinics get paid the first time. Or I write mock decision files with a summary, exposures, mitigation, and a pricing rationale. Hiring managers don't want to imagine your competence, they want to see it move across the page. You block 2 90-minute sessions a week for 8 weeks. In each session, you ship one proof: a case, a guide, a demo, a dashboard.